Welcome to Visual Studio C# Final Project. I am using Microsoft Visual Studio Express 2012 for Windows Desktop. Today we are going to create a desktop application. To create that, first I go to File, click on New Project, select Visual C# here and Windows Forms Applications here. You have to give project name. I'm going to create student management system, therefore I give the project name as student management system, then press OK here. When you create the project, the first form is already created by itself. You can see that in the Solution Explorer. I'm going to use form 1 as login form. I can resize it. To create the login form, I use tools. I'm going to select a tool by searching label, click on label, again click on form. In the properties window, I can change the text. And press enter. To change the text size, I have to change the font size. I can select any font, font style and font size and then press OK. To change the color of the text, I have to change for color. Again, I am going to select a label, click on label, click on form, go to properties window and change the text and press enter. I need another label. In the same way, I go to toolbox, click on label and click on the form again, and I can change the text. This time I am using the text as password and press enter. I select both of label at the same time and change the font. Font style and font size and then press OK. Next I go to toolbox again and type text box. Click on text box and click on the form. You can get a text box. To type username here. To change the size of this text box, I have to change the font of the text box. Be sure to select the text box and check properties has selected the text box. Then change the font. In the same way, you can take a copy and you can paste it to type the password. Now we have equal size text boxes. Next I need a button. I'm going to search in toolbox. You can select button here, click on button and click on the form again. You can resize the button and change the text as login and press enter and change the font from here. you can change the color using 4 color option. Now we have created the login form. You can test it by clicking the start button here. I can type any username in the text box and I can type any password in the text box here. But the thing is that the password is still visible. That is not so good. So we have to change that setting. To do that, first I go to stop the project, stop debugging. Then I click on password text box. Go to properties window, select password char variable, it is empty. I'm going to type single character which is an asterisk and press enter. Then again start the project. Type username and try to type password. Now it is working. The password is not visible as we expected. Still the login button is not implemented, therefore it will not do anything. We have to write a code to login button. To do that, you have to stop the project, because if the project is running, we can't do the editing part. Therefore, be sure to stop the project when you try to edit the project. Therefore, I am going to stop the project. I have already written login form, login button code. I am going to select the code. You can pause the screen and you can type the code by yourself. That is a best way to be a programmer. Do not copy, you have to type by yourself. Again, I am coming back to the form. Double click on login button. Here is C# coding. By pressing Ctrl and mouse wheel up, you can increase the font size as well as decrease the font size. Be sure that you are inside private void button one click, which is our login button, and I am going to paste the copied text here. Now you can see the coding is inside button one click. Then I want to go back to the designer form. To do that, I right click anywhere and select view designer. That brings me to the designer form. If you want to go back to the coding part, you can right click on anywhere and select view code. Likewise, you can switch between the designer and the code. The designer and the code. Now we have created the login form. Next, what we have to do is to create the main menu. To do that, I'm going to create a form. Click on your project name here and right click on project name and select add and add new item. There is a list. You have to select MDI parent form and press add. This will be our main menu, which is MDI parent form. You can go to login form again by click on form 1, and you can go to MDI parent form 1 by using this. I double click on form 1, it displays the login form. If I double click on MDI parent 1, it will display our main menu. Now I am going to check the project. To do that, I have to press the start button here. I am going to type username as admin and password as 123 and press login button. It displays the login success message. That means our login details are correct. When I press OK, it redirects me to the main menu. That means our login form is working perfectly. If somehow you can't see the play button, that means the project is running in the background. You may miss that, therefore be careful to see that. If the start button is not here, check if there is a stop button. You have to press it, then the start button will appear again, which means nothing will run in the background and you can start from the beginning. Now our login form is created and it is working perfectly. Let's see what is inside our login button. To see that, I'm going to double click on login button and it redirects me to the code. Let's review what we have written inside login button. String username equals textbox1 text. What does it mean? When we are running our project, whatever we type in textbox1 will be taken into the username. Username is a string variable. When we are running our project, what we type in the textbox2, which is our password text box, will be taken into the variable called password. That is also a string password variable. Using if condition, we are checking if the username is admin and the password is 123. Somehow if you want to change the username or password for this system, you have to change the admin or you have to change the password here. If login credentials are correct, the system will display message called login success. This is the if condition. If you have given incorrect login details, the system will display login fail message, which is written here in the else part. If the login details are correct, it will display login success and it will create object from MDI parent form, which is m, and it will display using m.show. This .hide is used to hide the login form. Always this keyword is used to mention the current form that we are using. Therefore, as we are in login form, which is our current form, we have to hide the login form when we are going to main menu. Therefore, this is used to hide the login form if you are given correct username and password, and then you are redirected to the main menu and hide the login form. That is usual. Now I go back to the designer, MDI parent 1, and I'm going to create our main menu. We don't want these things to create basic desktop application, therefore I click here and you can see it is selected, and right click on it and delete that part. The general menu is here. File, Edit, View, Tools, Windows and Help. Actually we don't want this also. Therefore I click on File and right click and select Delete. It is gone. Again right click on Edit and Delete. Again right click on View and Delete. Again right click on Tools and Delete. Likewise, I am going to remove the main menu. Now it is empty. We can create our own menu later. As we are creating student management system, I am going to change the title of this window, which displays MDI Parent Fund. To do that, I click on this form, just single click. In the properties window, I am going to change the text Student Management System and press enter. Now you can see the title of the window is changed. Now I go to Toolbox, search for button, click on the name button and click on the form. I can resize the button, go back to properties window, change student. I want a copy of this button, right click, copy, right click, paste. Change the text of that button into course and press enter. Right click, paste. Change the text of that button into exam and press enter. Right click and paste again. Change the text into payment and press enter. You can select all the buttons at the same time and change the font at the same time. Select the font, select font style and font size and press OK. To change the font color, you have to change the font color here. Now let's start the project again. It displays there is an error. If you pop up with this message, press no and you can see your error list in the bottom of the screen. Here are 3 errors. That is usual. You will also get these errors. When you get any error in Visual Studio C#, what you have to do is to double click on the error. Yes, it redirects me to some kind of C# coding. It displays red underline, that is an error. What you have to do is to select that line and you have to delete that line by backspace button in your keyboard. There is another error. You have to select that also and delete that using backspace button. Now you can see all the errors are gone. Again, you have to come back to the designer. You know what you have to do. Right click on anywhere and select View Designer. Now you are again in the designer form. Let's try to start the project again. Now it is working. I have to type admin as the username, 123 as the password. That is our login detail. Then click on login button. It displays login success. I press OK and I am redirected to the main menu which we created earlier. Again, you have to stop the project to do the editing part. Be sure to stop the project always Then I'm going to create the student registration form. To do that, I have to create another form. To do that, right click on project name, select add, select window form, select Windows form. You don't have to select again, it is already selected. You just have to click on add button here. Form 2 is created. You can resize as usual. I'm going to toolbox, search for label, click on label, click on form, and go into properties window, change the text into student registration form and press enter. To change the font, I have to select font in properties window, select a font, select font style and font size and press OK. Student registration form is created. The title is there. You can change the color. Now you know that. Again, I go to toolbox, click on label, change the text into ID. I need another label. Student name. Another label. To student date of birth. Another label. To address. And one more label to contact, and press enter. I'm selecting all the labels together and change the font color and change the font size and press OK. Now I go to toolbox, type text box here, click on text box, click on form. I need 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 text boxes, so I'm going to copy and paste again, paste again. Now text boxes are created. I have to change the size of these text boxes. To do that, I know that I have to change the font size of those text boxes. Then press OK. Now you have to check if these text boxes are in order. Click on first text box, check if it is text box 1, correct. The next text box 2, Third one should be text box 3. Be sure to check these things. The fourth one, text box 4, and the final, text box 5. You have to keep the text boxes in order to you have to keep the text boxes in order to do the project. Text box 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now I am going to add buttons. Search for button, click on button name, again click on the form. I am going to change the text into add and press enter. I need more buttons. Right click on button, copy and paste. Change the text into search. Again paste. Update. Another button. Change the text into delete and press enter. Another button. Name it as reset and press enter. And one more button is need. And one more button is required. Refresh. I'm going to select all these buttons at the same time. To change the size of the font, I go to properties window. I select font, font style and font size and then press OK. Now it is created. Now buttons are created. We have add button, search button, update button, delete button, reset button and refresh button. We have 6 buttons in the form. One more item is required. I go to toolbox and type data and you can see data grid view here. Click on data grid view and again click on the form. You can see there is a gray color box that will be used to display the data in our database. You don't have to change any properties in this tool because the data grid view will be filled using data in our database. So you don't have to do any changes to the data grid view, just keep it where you want. Next, what I am going to do is to implement the add button. To do that, I have already written the coding for the add button. I'm going to select the code and copy. You can pause the screen and you can type the code by yourself. Again, I come back to the Visual Studio Double click on add button and I am inside the button. One click, paste the button code here. There are some errors you can see. First I have to fix these errors. To do that, I have to add some reference from database. I have already written the code to add reference for database. I'm going to copy it and paste in the top of the coding. This is the line this is a line I have added to the coding. Now some errors are gone. There is another error. Now we have created student registration form, the design. Then we have to create a database. To do that, I'm going to right click on project name, add new item, go down and select service-based database. Be sure to select service-based database and press add button. If you have pop up with this warning message, that means connection timeout expired, the timeout period elapsed. If you pop up this error message, actually this is not an error, this is an warning message. You just have to click OK and try to add service-based database again. New window will appear. You have to click on next. It will show you retrieving database information, which means our database already created. You can see that from the right side of your screen. When it is loaded, you have to click the finish button. Now the creating the database part is finished. You can see our database 1 is created, and there are so many other files which are related to the file. You don't have to do any changes to any file of these. What you have to do is to double click on database 1, and in your right side and in your left side you can see the database 1 and a folder inside database 1 called tables. If you extract it, nothing will show. Next you have to right click on table, select add new table, you will see the design surface is loading. You have to wait until it is loaded. Then only you can create your database table. You just have to wait until the design surface is loaded. When it is loaded, you can see a screen like this. If you get an error, what you have to do is to keep the database 1 here. Keep the database 1 here and do not delete them. You have to again right click on project name, go to add new item and again add service based database. Then it will create database 2 that will definitely work for you. Somehow I didn't get any error here. So then I am going to create my database table. Focus here. It says create table. Then the table name is here. You have to change it. Be careful not to delete the other part. You don't have to delete square brackets. What you have to delete is the name called table. Then you have to type the database table that you need. For this example, I am going to create student management system. Therefore, my table is student. The column is add. The first column is ID. Next, it should be name. Press enter. Then date of birth, press enter. Address, press enter. And finally, the last column is contact and press enter. You can see the ID is primary key. You don't have to change it. The data type is integer. You don't have to change that also, but you have to change the data type of these columns. Click on Ensure here and type text and press enter. Again type text, press enter. Do the same thing for address and contact. Be sure to change the data type, otherwise you will get some errors when you are running the project. If you are done with these things, next you have to click on the update button. Click on update button, it will display another window and it will say preparing. Next you have to click on update database button. If you get any error here, you will not be able to update the database. Again you have to do the changes. If your changes are correctly done, then only you can update the database. Click on update database and it is updated. Now we don't want this anymore, therefore I can close it from here. If you have additionally tabs opened, you can close them. Now we have created our database. You can check it from here. In your left side of the screen, you can refresh Database Explorer and it will display your table name student. Here you can see the columns of the table. Click icon. Then you can see your columns of the table named student. ID, name, date of birth, address and contact. That means we have successfully created our database table inside the database 1. Now we have to write the coding to add, search, update, delete, reset and refresh buttons. I have already written the coding for those buttons, therefore I'm going to copy them. Before that, you have to connect your form to the database one. To do that, there are some codings that you have to do. Let's see how to connect your form to the database, then only your buttons will work. First, you have to add reference for database. You can pause the screen and type this code by yourself. I'm going to copy it. Then I come back to the form 2 and right click on anywhere and go to view code. On the top of the window, I can see there are some using commands. They are libraries imported to the form. I'm going to add another new library, which is system data SQL, which is system data which is using system.data.sql client. That will help us to make a connection between database table and our form. And the next what you have to do is to create database connection. I have already written the code. Make a copy. You can type it by yourself. Then you have to come back to the coding. You can see public form to initialize component. You can see the scope of that method. Right after that, you have to paste that code. Now you can see SQL connection equal new SQL connection likewise. Then you have to come back to the designer. Right click on anywhere and select view designer. Now you have to click on the database one. Double click on it and you can see in the properties window there is a variable called connection string. That is not an variable, actually that is a constant. Then double click on the value here. It is a long text. You have to double click to select the text completely and right click on it and copy. Then come back to the view code and you have to right click here and paste your coding in between double quotations. Then it will give you kind of error message. I will show you how to fix this error. You can see there is some text in black color and some text in red color. It is separated by this double quotation. Carefully take a look. Select that double quotation carefully and delete it. And the error is gone. Still we are not finished. There is another mismatch. The red color part is here and the black color part is here. It is separated by this double quotation. Carefully select the double quotation and delete that. The error is completely gone. Now you are ready to go. Now come back to designer. Now we have to add the codes to add search, update, delete, reset and refresh button. I have already written the codings for those buttons. First I am going to add button code. I have already written the code. You can pause the screen. You can pause the screen and copy the code. you can pause the screen and type the code. I'm going to take a copy of the text, and again I come back to the form, then double click on add button and paste the code. Now insert button is created. Again come back to designer. I'm going to add search button code. In the same way, you can pause the screen and type the code by yourself. Search button code starts from here. Then I take a copy and go back to form, double click on search button and paste the code. Again come back to designer. Next I am going to add code to the update button. In the same way, I have already written coding for the update button. You can type it by yourself. Be sure to type very carefully because C# is case sensitive, C# is object oriented. Therefore you have to type capital letters and simple letters as it is. I'm going to take a copy and come back to form again and double click on update button and paste the code. Again come back to designer. Next I am going to add the delete button code. Select the code, copy the code, come back to the form, double click on delete button, right click and paste. Next the reset button. Next the reset button. I'm going to type the reset button code. Next the reset button, I'm going to type the reset button code. Double click on reset button and you will come to a place called public private void button 5 click. I'm going to type the code text box1 dot text equals null and semicolon. To the next text box button. In the same way, I'm going to write to reset text box 2 I can take a copy to clear all the text boxes like this. This is how to reset the content inside text boxes. I will demonstrate it when we are running the project. Again I come back to designer. I have to write the coding for refresh button. I have already written that the code. I'm going to take a copy of the code. Come back to the form, double click on refresh button and paste the code. Now we have created the basic parts of our student management system. I go back to designer. I go back to form 1. Now we are finished with our project. This is an example project. Let's try to run the project. To do that, I try to click the start button. Username must be admin and the password must be 123, and I click on login button. It will display login success and I am redirected to main menu. We have 3 buttons to go to 3 forms, but we still didn't create a link between this form and our student registration form. Therefore, even if we click on any button, this will not continue. To fix that, stop the project. Come back to form 2 by double click on form 2. You can see this is our student registration form. We have to display this form. To do that, I go to MDI parent 1. And when I click student button, it will display form 2. That is our requirement. To do that, I'm going to double click on this button. What I want is to display the form 2. Therefore, I'm going to create an object from form 2 like form 2 f equal new form 2 and f dot show and this dot height. Now we have created a link between MDI parent form and form 2. Let's see. Admin as username, 123 as password, and click on login button. Now I am redirected as usual. Now we have created a link between student button and the form 2. Therefore, it should display now. I click on student button and it redirects me to the form. For example, I give some details. One as ID, name as student, and date of birth. An address, and contact. I have filled the form. Now I click add button. It displays me saved successfully. I press OK. I want to check whether the data is actually added to the database. To check that, I have refresh button. Click on refresh button. It displays your details from database. That means your form is successfully connected to the database and it stores data and we can retrieve data from database. To check that, I'm going to click reset button. the form is cleared, then I have to search for this record. To do that, I type number 1 here as the student ID and click search button. The student is found successfully from database. I'm going to reset again. I'm going to search for ID number 2, which is not in database. Let's see what will happen. It says not found. Yes, there is no student called ID 2. Again, I find for student number 1. He is already there. I want to change the student name. And I want to update the detail. The current student name is student. I'm going to replace that name. I'm going to update that name into Anne Pereira. Click on update. Updated successfully. And you have to refresh. You can see the name has changed. That means our update button is also working perfectly. So far we have checked add, search, update, reset and refresh button. Now what we have to do is to check our delete button. When you delete a record from database, we cannot take that record again. Therefore, be sure to delete actually what you want to delete. I click on text box 1, which is used for ID. I type number 1 and press delete button. Deleted successfully. To check that, I refresh the table. The data is gone. Again, I search for the record which is not available in the database. Therefore, it identifies the database is empty. The record is not found. Now we have checked all the buttons: add, search, update, delete, reset and refresh. All the buttons are working perfectly. I need another requirement, that how can I go back to my main menu. So we are going to implement that too. To do that, first we have to stop the running project and again come back to form 2. I'm going to take a copy of the last button and paste. I'm going to change the text of that button. Main menu and press enter. What I am going to do is to, when I click on main menu button, I should be redirected to the main menu and close this student registration form. To do that, I double click on main menu button, create MDI parent1 object, and show that object and hide the current form. Now we are done with that also. Again, I'm going to start the project. Admin as username, 123 as password, and click on login button. I click student button. I am on a student registration form. If I click on refresh button, it is empty because we deleted the record that we have added. Now I am going to check our last button, which is back button. I click on main menu button. I am redirected to the main menu. That is how you are going from form to form. Create an object and show it and hide the current form. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments section. Be sure to like and subscribe. Good luck.